both sides. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to caution you right now to keep this fight clean at all times, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck, Minnesota. Touch him up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Have Fun on the Indys. I'm your host, Abe, and I want to say welcome back, because we had a week off last week due to the holidays, but we never really left, because if you use the handle at HaveFunOTI, that's at HaveFunOTI, you could have caught us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and there at those places, you could have found all of our links to our YouTube page, our Vimeo page, our SoundCloud page, where we have all of our podcasts posted from episode 1 to episode whatever the fuck this is. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, with the filthy plugs out of the way, come in, make yourselves at home. Get yourselves nice and comfortable, or hit ultra high on that treadmill and get ready, because I have 3 letters. It's been over a week, but I have 3 letters burned into my brain. I have 3 letters ingrained in me right now, and those letters are AEW. And oh my god, I don't even know where to start off with this thing. Because not only is it burned into my brain, but it's obviously burned into my eyeballs. Because everywhere I look, left, right, up, down, diagonal, everywhere on the internet, everywhere at work, people who are talking about professional wrestling, they're talking about those 3 letters, AEW. And holy shit, what a show. It was 100% up there with All In. I don't even know where to start with this thing. There couldn't have been a better way to start this whole AEW Revolution thing. The show 100% rivaled All In. It's going to be super interesting to see where this all goes. The crowd was ECW-esque, loud and rowdy the whole freaking time. And here's the crazy part. The whole loud and rowdy crowd, it wasn't at an ECW arena in front of like 5,000 people. It was in front of 16,000 people, in front of a giant arena, in front of an arena where the big boys play, as like people like to say. The whole fucking 3 or 2 hours, the crowd was deep into it, balls deep into it. And the first thing we start off with, which is pretty crazy, because normally when shows start off with Battle Royals, which is the first thing we started off with on AEW Double or Nothing, was the prelims, which was a Battle Royal. And usually Battle Royals are slow-paced. They're not the best match on the show. They're usually used to kill time and warm up the crowd. And this Battle Royal sure as hell warmed up the crowd at AEW Double or Nothing. But my god, did it do more than that. This had everything. This Battle Royal had freaking everything. First thing I remember, there was a guy with 2 missing legs. I know that sounds insane. And at first, because I missed the first few minutes of the Battle Royal, at first it was kind of weird, because all you would see him do was lay in the corner. So I'm thinking to myself, that's kind of weird, and it's kind of got that freakish feeling. No offense to anybody. No offense to people who have missing legs or anything. But that's what it seems like, because he's just laying in the corner. And then all of a sudden, things get insane, because Dustin Thomas, this guy Dustin Thomas, who made it in professional wrestling farther than most people will ever dream of, farther than I ever did, started going insane. Started jumping up on the ropes and doing front flips. It started shocking everybody. Then the next thing you know, there's this guy called Luchasaurus who comes out. I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? This guy looks wacky as hell. No, he doesn't look wacky as hell, because when you really take a look at him, he has the sickest mask, goes in the ring, grabs Joey Janela by the throat, and throws him to the outside to where Janela lands on his head and neck. Through a table from the inside of the ring. Shit looked bananas. The crowd's going bananas. Hangman Page wins the whole thing, and boom, son, that's just a pre-show. All this is happening, and that's just a fucking pre-show. The crowd is going insane. I'm thinking to myself, did this whole revolution just fuck up? Did AEW just fuck up? Because I thought an event, professional wrestling event was supposed to be kind of like a match where you started off slow and you slowly build it and you slowly build it and you slowly build it up until the end of the show where it just bursts into insanity. But, I mean, they obviously know what they're doing. So the crowd was hot. It felt like the main event just happened. It felt like Vince McMahon came out or something. And then we start the show. We trip right along into the main card of the show. And the first thing I noticed out of the whole fucking thing was the production value. The production value was unbelievable. I remember when TNA was supposed to be the next big thing, and they had a fancy entrance in Orlando, and they had a fancy arena in Orlando, and they were the next big thing at the time. They were the second biggest company in all of the United States, the second biggest professional wrestling company. Probably not the world, because New Japan still existed, and Noah still was pretty big at the time. However, TNA had this great venue, this great entrance, had great lighting. They had mainstream television when they were on Spike. And still, the entrance and the production value did not rival this AEW show. This AEW show felt like a WWE show in terms of production. From the angles of the cameras to the 16,000 people. And it wasn't just the fact that there was 16,000 people there. It was the fact of how it was lit up to showcase those 16,000 people. It was the ramp, how long the ramp was down to the ring. It was the screens. It was the smoke. It was everything. It was grade A professional wrestling production. And that was the crazy part, because right off the bat, as soon as you see the arena and what they're doing with the lights and everything and the highlight packages, which were edgy as fuck and different and didn't feel the same as always, everything was awesome when it comes to production value. Right away, you got the feeling, okay, I'm watching a real professional wrestling show. So then we move on to the first match, which was the perfect match to start off the actual main portion of the show, Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara. It was what it was. Sabian defeated Guevara. It was a very athletic match, a lot of high spots, a lot of insanity that you didn't think you would see, which once again, you know, God, it just keeps getting harder and harder to top these matches, because you got two matches in and you're like, oh my God, I think I just saw everything. But we're obviously proved wrong through this whole thing. God, I'm sounding like such a mark for this company, but fuck. This was what the professional wrestling world needed. This. The professional wrestling world needed people like this. It needed a steroid shot in the arm and to get things brewing and to get rivalry started. So we move on to the second match of the main portion of the show on AEW Double or Nothing. And this one had some people that are dear in my heart. The SCU, SoCal Uncensored, which consists of Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, versus Strong Hearts, which consists of Seema, T-Hawk, and Lindaman. Now, Seema I've seen for a very long time. I gotta thank Ring of Honor for introducing me to Seema and all of Dragon Gate back in the day, because just the same way that here in the United States we had the big companies, the medium companies, and the small companies, over in Japan that same thing was going. They had New Japan going, they had Noah going, and they had kind of like a Ring of Honor version of Japanese wrestling over there, and they called it Dragon Gate. And one of the people I remember was Seema. Ring of Honor, I can't remember when it was. It was like before one of those WrestleMania weekends. They brought in a 3-on-3. It was like the Dragon Gate guys versus each other, or versus, yeah, I think it was 3-on-3 Dragon Gate guys. And holy shit, they stole the show. They stole the show for the whole weekend out of all the indies that go there and try to showcase their stuff. And it was awesome. I remember Seema from that day, and I followed Seema for quite a bit. It's nice to see him still around. And then we move on to Frankie Kazarian. Here's another guy that's been doing it forever. He's been in pretty much every major company. If any guy deserves a spot in this company, it's Frankie Kazarian, because he can still bring it. He has experience like no one else. And he's a hard worker. And here's the man that man deserves just a boatload of money and sometime, somewhere, be in the Hall of Fame of professional wrestling, if he isn't already. Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels is a whole different ballgame. Christopher Daniels has been around the ringer. Christopher Daniels has had great success in professional wrestling, and Christopher Daniels has had professional wrestling kick him in the balls. He's been in WWE from 1998 to 2001. He was on the independent circuit before that, so he earned his way there. He was in WCW, never got his huge push. He was in all these various companies, And nobody gave a damn. And that's the part that was so frustrating, I can imagine, for him. Then he goes to Ring of Honor in its infancy, when Ring of Honor is performing in front of nobody. And he's part of a group called The Prophecy. And that's when I start getting introduced to Christopher Daniels. And that's when I remember Christopher Daniels. All his crazy feuds in Ring of Honor. All the matches he had with Loki, Bryan Danielson. He was Ring of Honor. He's one of the guys that helped make Ring of Honor. If it wasn't for him and guys like Loki, etc., but he was one of the ones, Ring of Honor still wouldn't be alive today. And, you know, I'm glad to see him in AEW. I hope the independent scene treats him well, because I know he was in TNA for a while, and TNA did use him a lot and did give him a job. He even did Curryman there. I'm sure he got money there, but they never quite made him a champion, a world champion there that mattered. So it's good to see him still around, and it's good to see him that he's with a group of guys that obviously are a fan of his, because in a lot of the shows they're in, he's in. And so this was SCU versus Strong Hearts. Winners, SCU defeated Strong Hearts. Sick match. It's good to see Christopher Daniels doing the thing. God, that guy's such a badass. He deserves more. I hope they keep using him, keep giving him money. And then we move on to the women's match, which was really cool match. Surpassed my expectations. I didn't think they were going to be able to do what some of the WWE girls do and put on that type of intense matchup. It was Kylie Rae versus Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker. And the hits keep on coming, because surprise entrance, Awesome Kong. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I still remember old school Awesome Kong. And I know I was reading on forums and people were bitching and people were being overly critical about how Awesome Kong, in like the first spot, she kind of missed with the kick and didn't come off as brutal. She's been fucking away from the business for God knows how long. Give her a goddamn break. I still remember Awesome Kong. I remember the Awesome Kong smashing girls' faces in TNA. That Awesome Kong. As a matter of fact, I remember Awesome Kong coming back up north to Stanford and the WWE and starting to smash girls' faces there in a very fucked up way. Her momentum was through the goddamn roof. But for some reason, I don't know all the details. I know that she got pregnant and decided to pursue a family life, which is fine. But I hope we all remember that's the real Awesome Kong. And give her some time. If they're going to keep bringing her and they're going to keep using her, please, God, do. I'm a huge fan. She'll come in her own and she'll start this whole fucking strong style that everybody likes. Because before the WWE Women's Revolution and girls started hitting hard, Awesome Kong was fucking doing it. Winner of this match, which was Kylie Rae versus Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker versus Awesome Kong. Baker defeated Rae, Rose, and Kong. Then we had the next match was Best Friends versus Angelico and Evans. Best Friends was Chucky T and Trent Beretta. Trent Beretta's been in the game forever. He's always fun to watch. Angelico I'm new to. Chucky T I'm new to. But I'll tell you who I'm not new to. And that's fucking Jack Evans. Jack Evans, once again, thank you Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor introduced me to Jack Evans. Jack Evans was doing insane shit. When I thought Amazing Red was the pinnacle of what the fuck a high-flying guy was, Jack Evans came along and started doing 630s off of cages onto the outside. When I thought Rey Mysterio doing all this crazy flippy-floppy shit everywhere was the pinnacle of it all, Jack Evans came along and showed me differently. It's just the only problem he ever had, I feel like, was the indies in the United States weren't popular enough at the time for him to make a comfortable living, and he didn't have that wrestler physique that a lot of the bigger companies liked. Because even when WCW was using the smaller guys, even when WWE was using the smaller guys and having the cruiserweights, even then, those guys were in kind of good shape and had some meat on them. Jack Evans is always a skinny guy, but it didn't matter. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my throat's going out on me. I was yelling last night for that Anthony Joshua fight. Went to a friend's house, got super drunk, yelling, screaming. So now I'm having this warm tea to try to soothe my throat. We'll get into all that boxing stuff here in a bit. Oh, yeah. Well then, Jack Evans, which is the reason why this match intrigued me. Match was insane. Him and Angelico probably obviously defy gravity. It was a crazy freaking match. Winners of this match, Best Friends defeated Evans and Angelico. Glad to see Jack Evans. Oh, here, that's the point I was getting to. Sorry, I smoked a little bit of weed. That's the point I was getting to. was that at least he was able to. The Indies weren't popular enough for Jack Evans to make a living, and at least he was able to make a living over in AAA in Mexico. He found his craft over there, and I hope to God they treated him right over there, and they continue to treat him right over there, because that guy not only can hang with the high flyers in professional wrestling in Mexico, which are pretty much the guys that invented this shit, he surpasses a lot of them. So it's good to see Jack Evans around. I hope they keep bringing him back. Then the next match was kind of random. I knew nobody in this match except one person, I will admit. Hey, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of a noob to a lot of these indie wrestlers because I was out of the game for a very long time. I've been in boxing and MMA balls deep forever, and I'm barely making my way back as of a few years ago. So bear with me, motherfuckers. So here we go. This match was completely random. It was Hikaru Shida, Riho Abe, Rio Mizunami versus Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura. Aja Kong was the one that I know. That's the one that I've seen since the 90s. And, you know, I was shocked to see her in this match. To be honest with you, I was shocked to see her around because she's always had such an aggressive style. And, you know, she was still as aggressive as she could have been in this match. But, you know, the years catch up to everybody. But it was awesome to see her. She did awesome. It's just, I remember her doing that strong style shit years ago with those back fists just smashing girls in the face. The result was Shida, Abe, and Mizunami defeated Sakazaki, Sakura, and Kong. And then, ladies and gentlemen, let me take a drink here. Oh, that's delicious. We move on to the match that undoubtedly stole the show. Believe it or not, it stole the show by a mile. And that's saying something because this whole show was filled with stealing matches. You know what I'm saying? Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. Brother versus brother. And holy fuck. These guys, and I'm going to say this, and I hope everybody doesn't get mad, they're the mainstream style of wrestling. That's their style. They don't always do high spots a lot. And they have that WWE style to where they try to tell a big story in the ring. It's usually not just a lot of moves. When there's nothing wrong with doing a lot of moves, I love strong style. I love the Young Bucks. I love all this shit. But these guys, in my opinion, have it the hardest. Because not only are they known for being good wrestlers, but they're known for being, their psychology is elite. And that's what they're known for. And can you imagine how hard it is to pull at people's heartstrings an hour and a half into a fucking show where they've seen insanity everywhere? Well, ladies and gentlemen, they did it. Cody and Dustin stole the fucking show with their wrestling, stole the fucking show with their storytelling, and stole the fucking show with the emotion. They had an insane match right off the bat. Right off the bat, Cody slapped everybody in that arena. You know how? He made a throne appear that had Triple H's symbol, went to the front of the ring, his girl gave him a sledgehammer, and he slowly walked back up the ramp where the Triple H throne was at, took a minute, stared at the sledgehammer as the camera was panned in front of him, and behind him, all you see is 16,000 people yelling, "Yeah, smash it!" As Cody's holding that fucking sledgehammer, he smashes it to bits and the crowd goes insane. The first fucking 30 seconds of the entrance will always be remembered. It was all over social media. Everybody's going to be remembered that. It was the gunshot heard around the world for professional wrestling, to be quite fucking honest with you. This is what it was. The camera angle pointed the way it was so fucking awesome. Give that guy a raise. Give that fucking guy a raise. And then they have a match. They have a match where it's brother versus brother. It's the veteran versus Cody Rhodes, who's the guy who's felt he was never looked at as the best. It was always Dustin. Dustin gets busted open at one point. He is bleeding a la Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania. Just fucking blood everywhere. But not pointless blood, like Tournament of Death matches, which we love here on Have Fun on the Indies. But this was a little bit more of a, it's like comparing physics and algebra kind of thing, you know? It's a little bit more complicated type of a match. Cody Rhodes is bleeding everywhere. What's his face? Dustin Rhodes is fucking bleeding everywhere. End of the match. All in all, you have to watch this thing. I've watched it about 3 or 4 times already. Cody defeated Dustin in an insane match that took you back and forth, back and forth. And when you thought it was over, they said, "You think this shit's over? You think this fucking shit's over? You think this is a typical promo? A typical angle?" Nope. Cody Rhodes grabs the mic, talks about that he needs a tag team partner for the next AEW show, but then tells everybody, "I need one, but I don't need one. I can do all of this on my own. I don't need a tag team partner. I don't need any of that stuff." And then he spews a line that gets 16,000 people to almost burst into fucking tears, which tells you the power of storytelling, which tells you the power of that WWE wrestling style, which if you can do it right, it won't look generic. It'll look great. Strong style's great. All this crazy high-flying shit is great, but I'm telling everybody, as great as all these styles are, the ultimate style to master, it's that WWE mainstream style, which I can't remember the name of it. Someone said it was catch ass, catch can. I'm not sure if that's it. I think that person was full of shit when they told me that. I'm looking at you, APW John LaRocca, years ago that you probably won't remember. However, it was the WWE style's the ultimate style. You have to be able to perform in the ring and do enough moves that build up in a certain way to be able to get a certain reaction while at the same time psychologically fucking with everybody in the crowd. And that's the match that stole the show. At the end of the whole thing, Cody Rhodes says, "I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need a brother." And if you look out at that fucking goddamn crowd, I don't care what anybody tells you. You look out at that goddamn crowd, you see women about to cry. You see guys with their mouths open just like, "Oh my God, thank you," clapping. The last time I seen shit like this was in the 90s. I can't exactly remember when. I'm going to bring up a corny one, and if it's a horrible comparison, I'm sorry. Elizabeth coming in to save Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania. You know, when that witch was beating Randy Savage for losing to the Ultimate Warrior. And God, this match was... It's one of the best matches I've seen in a lot of fucking years. And you know what? I'm going to go on a limb here and say it compares with Kenny Omega versus Okada matches. It's that fucking good. It was that fucking good. So then, after that insanity, I don't know what the fuck comes up next. And they decided to give us a little break, which was kind of awesome. Because they know how to put on a show, apparently. They know how to give us a little break. They had the presentation of the AEW Championship. The belt looked fucking awesome. It looked like a sporting belt. It looked like a combat sports belt. It looked like what it was supposed to look like. I know WB just came out with the 24/7 belt, and it looks half like the WBC green belt, I want to say. But no, fuck no. You know, that belt looks like shit. It does not look like the WBC boxing belt. It looks like shit. This AEW belt doesn't. This AEW belt looks awesome. And to top it all off, one of my favorite wrestlers of all fucking time, the guy that made me want to be a wrestler, that got it in my crazy head that I can do it for a good 7 goddamn years, Bret Hart was the one to introduce it. Halfway in, MJF interrupts the whole thing because Hangman Page was out there. You know, so Bret Hart can tell him, "Look, this is what you're fighting for after you won the Battle Royal. You're fighting for this championship, this badass-looking thing." MJF comes out, who apparently, I was wrong. My friends introduced me to MJF one time, and I told them he was generic. I didn't really like the way his heel was. I thought his heel persona was generic. But holy shit, now that I've actually sat down and actually watched him, 100% he's going to be a star. He's going to be a star in AEW. MJF, even in that Battle Royal, he was the one that stood out of everybody. Out of everything that happened, MJF was the one that stood out. And you know those AEW guys can spot talent because as we talked about it a few weeks ago, they are fans of the sport still. They're going to push him. And eventually, hopefully, he meanders in the mid-card for a little bit and gets some badass shit going because we don't need to fuck with the main card stuff yet. We don't need that yet. You can push him when we need him more later on. Right now, we got all kinds of crazy shit going on in the main event stuff. But yeah, Bret Hart introduced the belt. Awesome belt. A bunch of shit happened in an angle. Don't really need to explain everything. All right, here we go. AAA World Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. As you would expect. I mean, the only real difference I see between these matches and the matches I used to see that Ring of Honor used to put on, called scrambled matches, was that these guys keep the intensity up for longer sessions of a time. Like back in the scramble matches days in Ring of Honor, when Ring of Honor was making these matches popular, the fight would be fast, then slow down for a bit, then fast. No, these guys go fast for like 85% of the fucking match. It's pretty goddamn crazy, and you truly do feel that if you blink an eye, you're gonna fucking miss it. You really, truly do feel like that. I know I blinked an eye, and the next thing I know, one of the Young Bucks is getting a Canadian Destroyer done to them on the fucking side of the apron. So, insanity. Words can't describe it. It's the goddamn Young Bucks. When, you know, whether they're in Fresno, California, or fucking London, England, or Japan, they always put on good matches. They're one of the guys that made me want to come back and actually watch some of this stuff. The Young Bucks defeated the Lucha Bros. Talent all around. Watch it. Then we get to the main event of it all. And here's the thing. It's the main event of it all. We've seen everything. We've seen fucking high-flying Young Bucks doing all kinds of crazy fucking shit. We've seen Luchasaurus hurling Joey Janela through the sky and making him land on his neck. We've seen everything. We've seen Cody Rhodes. We've seen Dustin Rhodes bleed buckets in the middle of the ring. We've seen Cody Rhodes yank everybody's fucking heart out at the end with that promo. And now, what is AEW going to do to top all of that? Because the time for talk has ended. We're in the main event. And while everything else was fucking beastly, this is the main event, which is what people are going to remember last. So, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Goddamn, the match was awesome. It was a great match. I still say the Rhodes stole the show, but this was an awesome match. Jericho is a bad motherfucker. Kenny Omega is obviously a bad motherfucker. We all know this. His style of wrestling is very strong style. He does it very fancy strong style, and it looks awesome. Every match I've seen him in is good, besides, you know, those wacky matches he had with inflating dolls. Those can get a little weird. But Chris Jericho, another guy with that WWE mainstream style, who's main eventing a show where the show is nothing like that. Where the show is nothing. Where none of the wrestlers are wrestled this way. But Chris Jericho main event because that WWE style works. It forces you to have the whole fucking package. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Sick fucking fight. Jericho defeats Kenny Omega, is in the middle of the ring, blah, 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 shit's happening. Then you start seeing the crowd go insane, and you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck? Well, I'll tell you what the fuck. Jon Moxley makes his debut, which rumors were flying around that he might make his debut. You know, people knew that he was out of his WWE contract and all that good stuff, but nobody knew that he was going to show up this quickly, this uncharacteristically out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Him and Jericho start beefing. His Jericho with that Mick Foley-inspired double DDT. And, you know, God, the crowd is going insane at this point. Let's see here. I don't know. And then it gets even crazier because Kenny Omega gets it. Kenny Omega gets it. And he gets it on top of the fucking stage on these giant chips. He gets that double DDT. That's how the pay-per-view ends. Jon Moxley is sitting there raising his hand. The whole fucking show was badass. And I'm a wrestling fan, so yeah, maybe I'm going to think it's badass. But even people that are not wrestling fans think it's badass. I know somebody that told me that usually their wives, because for some reason wrestling is usually on a Sunday, which I will never fucking understand that why they can't have it on Saturdays the way this show was. Saturdays is a day to have fucking shows so we can all drink and get together with friends and party while we watch it. And all of us sit there and fucking overanalyze it and have fun. Not on a fucking Sunday where we got to go to bed early because we got to go slave at work in some garbage job for fucking 12 hours. You know, have them on a Saturday. That's another thing AEW did right. They fucking figured it out because they're fans. They figured it out. Put it on a goddamn Saturday. But be that as it may, I even know people that said that usually they have to watch the show with their wife on Sundays because, you know, pay-per-views aren't every fucking week. So every so often the wife will sit there and watch it with them, and usually she hates it and she starts criticizing it and she starts making fun of it and how silly it is at the slapstick humor and stuff like that. And she even said that this show she didn't like. She said, I'm not a fan of professional wrestling. I don't understand half this shit. However, this I can stomach. Those were the words that came out of her mouth, which tells you something. It tells you something. These guys are on to the right thing. There's nothing but love here for AEW on Have Fun on the Indies. Thanks for fucking an awesome weekend last week. Couldn't have enjoyed myself more. The only thing that I could have enjoyed more would have been fucking Vince McMahon going out there and trying to make someone kiss his ass. That would have made me blow the fuck up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the dirt sheets real quick. See if we can find anything of interest before we move on. I'll go to PW Insider first. And don't murder me because I'm calling them dirt sheets, alright? Relax, lady. So on pwinsider.com, I don't see too much crazy shit going on. They don't have a lot of stuff. There's, oh yeah, WWE NXT TakeOver happened. NXT TakeOver 25. And I know that should be talked about, but I might talk about it if there's room for it next week, because next week we're going to start getting into all this deathmatch shit. GCW had their tournament of death. I wonder how insane that was. I have access to the footage. It's just a matter of watching it. NXT TakeOver 25, I don't know if I'm going to have time to watch that with all the boxing and MMA that's coming up. I need to catch up on Ryzen, also Ryzen MMA. But I know that these takeover shows are supposed to be a big fucking deal. I saw on Instagram a picture of Michael Cole, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels, and man, they looked like fans themselves. And it looked like Triple H was sitting there waiting to put on a badass show. I know these takeover ones are like their big ones for NXT, and I know Triple H takes great pride in the NXT product. And to see those three guys there, it makes you feel like they'd be the perfect competitor for Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and so on. It makes it like the perfect fucking soup right now, where you know things are going to get a boiling anytime soon. It's goddamn exciting. And let's see if we can get who won all this stuff, who wrestled and who won. I know Adam, well, here, hold on, all right? Give me some patience, lady. So first thing I see when I type that in on Newsweek, Triple H says NXT TakeOver 25 is a statement, which is what a lot of people were saying. You know, that it was going to be Triple H's way of saying, if AEW can do as good as they did because they have no restrictions like they do on Raw and SmackDown, NXT is going to be able to do the same thing. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Oh, first match. Dear Lord. First match is a fucking killer. They started off hot. Roderick Strong versus Matt Riddle. Winner Matt Riddle. And WWE posted a tweet that says, "Bro, the athleticism of Super King of Bros is off the charts." And it shows him doing some crazy shit that he always does. Wow, that was probably sick as fuck. Let's click on to the next one. NXT Tag Team Championship ladder match. The Street Profits versus the Forgotten Sons versus Oni Lorcan, and Danny Burch versus the Undisputed Era. I don't know who half these fucking people are. I'm not going to lie. I know who O'Reilly is. I've seen some of the Street Profits. I've seen some of the Forgotten Sons. I don't know, but apparently, I'm assuming this shit was fucking pretty crazy, especially with all this tag team talk that the Young Bucks have been talking about, which made the wrestling community fucking start talking about it. Oh, tag team wrestling. AEW knows how to do tag team wrestling. Apparently, WWE is saying, motherfuckers, we invented this shit. And they had a really good match according to this thing. Winners, the Sultans of Swag, have reached the summit, and it shows them with the belts. This might be a show to at least skim through. NXT North American Championship match. Velveteen Dream versus Tyler Breeze. Velveteen Dream, the North American champion, which is obviously being prepped to be main event. If they're smart, they will make a main event in NXT and then take him up to Raw or SmackDown, and don't make a main event right away. Make him start off slowly with angles and let him win, and don't start force feeding him fucking to the fans. But yeah, Velveteen Dream wins the match. Yep, winner and still North American champion, Velveteen Dream. That's good to hear. I hope it keeps going. I hope they keep marinating him. They have to fucking keep marinating him. As perverted as it sounds when it comes to Velveteen Dream, fucking oil that bitch up and spice him up and fucking, you know, make him until he's nice and tender and he's ready. Don't just fucking blow him away. He's a good character. Let's see. Then we had a women's championship, Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai. Io Shirai, I don't really know much about. I know Shayna Baszler is a beast in the ring. She was one of the first MMA girls to start trying to do professional wrestling. I don't watch them much. I don't watch the women in NXT much, I'm not going to lie. I watch mainly the women in WWE. Winner of this match was Shayna Baszler. She kept her belt. I think she's had it for quite a bit, if I'm correct. Next match was Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole. That was the main event, pretty much. Damn, that was probably insanity. That was the epitome of a elite match right there for a WWE type show. a winner and new NXT champion, Adam Cole. That's your face of the company. I've heard everybody and their mom talk about how badass Adam Cole is. You know, from ex-host here, Jeff, he used to talk about how fucking badass Adam Cole is, that he was as good as Shawn Michaels, which that's yet to be seen, buddy. But, damn, man, so there was a ripe weekend of all kinds of shit happening. That'll be it for professional wrestling portion of the show. I'm not going to do, and I'm going to snap Pro Wrestling Edition this week. But ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, you're going to want to tune in the next 2 weeks for the I'm going to snap Pro Wrestling Edition. You're going to want to tune in because I got 2 real good ones. And from one insanity to another insanity. The biggest upset in boxing, because that's what we're moving on to, folks. The fucking boxing ring in between the ropes. From the fucking craziest professional wrestling show that's sparking off a revolution to goddamn the biggest upset in boxing history. And since people are saying Buster Douglas, since Buster fought Douglas in Japan. And, oh man, shit was wild. I have a couple of tidbits of news first. However, we're going to skip all that and we're going to get straight to the Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz stuff. We're not going to leave that for the end of the show. We're not going to leave that for the end of the segment. I mean, for the end of the boxing segment of the show. We're just going to talk about it right off the fucking bat. So, Eddie Hearn, who's a goddamn fucking genius. I don't care what anybody says. People can hate on him as much as they want. But Eddie Hearn is a fucking savage. Eddie Hearn decided, you know what? I've been all over Europe, selling out stadiums, fucking the O2 in London, etc., etc. The list goes on. And I've been doing it with these awesome European boxing cards with people that haven't been exposed to the rest of the world yet. It's just in Europe. They're just known in Europe. They're just celebrity sportsmen and women in Europe. Well, he decided to bring this shit and bring it over to New York in Madison Square Garden, which is a goddamn ballsy move. Because for one, New Yorkers can be picky as fuck. And if you didn't align those fucking matches right, or if those matches, even though they had elite boxers on them, didn't come out exciting and the way the fans wanted it, New York will let you know. New York, I hate to say it, is always kind of fucking prickish about this shit. Just look at the MMA press conferences. They go out there and they turn them into fucking their own promo. They grab the mic. The UFC gives fans a chance to ask fighters a question. Instead, when they go to New York, the fans, instead of asking questions, they fucking turn it into some sort of professional wrestling promo. It gets crazy. It's New York. It's ballsy to bring an all-European boxing card here. But holy fucking shit, was it exciting. Man, I don't know if it was the beer and all that food and the people I had around me, but it was fucking a great night of boxing. Boxing took the fucking show this weekend over everything. First match that they had on for the main card of that Joshua Ruiz card, which, by the way, fuck that. Here, you know what? We're going to look up the undercard, too, because I know Chris Algieri fought on the undercard. Undercard results. I know that they have some fucking weirdo matches in the undercard, and they were pretty good, though, because I know Chris Algieri just won a fucking belt or kept his belt. They have so many goddamn belts in fucking boxing. Here, let's see if I can go all the way to the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, of this article over on ESPN.com. Oh, they had Anthony Joshua's buddy, Joshua Buatsi, that Anthony Joshua managed. The Anthony Joshua managed 2016 British Olympic bronze medalist. He stopped Marco Antonio Peribian in the 4th round. That one was one that people were talking about just because he's like a Joshua guy. They had Josh Kelly, who's a British Olympian, go up against Ray Robinson. I don't know, man. That they called it a draw. People are saying Kelly won. It was a close fight from what I saw. I watched the whole thing. It was a very close fight. And then they had Chris Algieri stop Tommy Coyle. That match was fuck. Chris Algieri always brings it. Chris Algieri, even though he won and he is a pressure fighter sometimes, God, that guy takes a lot of hits. But he did it. You know, it says right here, ESPN.com, former junior welterweight world titleist Chris Algieri stopped Tommy Coyle in the 8th round in an all-out slugfest. Yeah, well, that's what happens. Chris Algieri is still doing the damn thing. And then we moved on to the main card, which is where things started getting hot, if they weren't hot already. They had Katie Taylor defeat Delphine Persoon via majority decision, which was by far fucking light years away the best boxing women's match in the history of women's boxing. Holy fuck. Katie Taylor was in the toughest fight of her goddamn life. Delphine looked like she had something to prove. She looked like she was pissed about being overlooked her whole fucking goddamn career. She was pissed that nobody gave her a chance. And she was pissed that all this fucking media was probably giving all the attention to Katie Taylor. And rightfully so. Katie Taylor is a bad mamma jamma. She fucking is a professional. Here, I'm going to go up to her wiki. From Ireland. First of all, she's got a country behind her, which is always a fucking good thing in combat sports. And while she's fought, I don't know, a good 14 fights as a professional, women's boxing is just starting to get the ball rolling. MMA did it first. They made it popular years ago. Then the WWE has followed suit with Stephanie McMahon and her fucking Women's Revolution. And boxing, as usual, we love you here at Half It on the Indies Boxing, but goddamn, sometimes you act like you're 80. You know that, boxing? Sometimes you fucking act like you're 80. And you guys are late to the game, and you guys are barely starting to do this whole thing with the women's boxing. I know in the past they had Layla Ali, and they had a bunch of women's boxers in the past. But, you know, now they're trying to bring it onto the big stage, and Katie Taylor does just that. She's an attractive woman. She's fucking incredibly talented. She's great on the mic. She's smart. She's not a fucking moron. And it was a great fight. Dear God, my heart went out to her on that fucking fight. She was fighting with everything fucking inside her, as was Delphine. It was the epitome. It was like an animal fight. It was great. It was an awesome match. The best women's boxing match that we've seen to fucking date. Katie Taylor defeated Delphine Persoon via majority decision. And some people said she didn't win because Persoon was definitely the aggressor the whole fucking time, 100%. In my opinion, I'll go with what Eddie Hearn said at a press conference or during an interview after that fight. I feel it was a draw more than anything, but be that as it may. Next, they had a showcase with Callum Smith defeating Hassan Endam via third-round knockout. Callum Smith, undefeated. They're pushing him, and they're just going to keep pushing him, and that's wonderful. I mean, Eddie Hearn knows what he's doing with these guys. Eventually, this guy's going to start getting some big-time fights, and guarantee you they'll start happening over there on the other side of the pond, and he'll start selling out arenas because of it. Right now, he's the co-main event at Madison Square Garden, so that's not too fucking shabby. It shows Eddie Hearn really likes this guy. And then, holy shit, we get to the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We get to the main event. Madison Square Garden is sold the fuck out. The crowd is incredibly happy with everything they've seen so far. Everybody and their mom is expecting Anthony Joshua to bulldoze Anthony Ruiz in this World Heavyweight Championship unification fight. Live at Madison Square Garden, packed to the rafters, sold out. They want Joshua to win. They want him to grab that microphone. They want him to call out Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And Andy Ruiz says, "Fuck you. Life sucks, and then you die." Because holy shit. It got crazy. I really don't know what to say. Andy Ruiz gets knocked down with a left, I think. I forgot what round it was. And as Paulie Malignaggi said as he was analyzing the fight, calm as a goddamn fucking cucumber. Gets knocked down. Everybody is screaming their fucking heads off. The place is going insane. Anthony Joshua has this nice fucking, perk to him of confidence, a nice perk of confidence because he just knocked him down with one fucking punch. And Andy Ruiz apparently is so used to it due to his over 150 fucking amateur matches and just gets up. He gets up, and this is the third round, by the way, and says, fuck it. Looks like nothing ever happened. Keeps his cool. Next thing you know, ducks a couple of punches and nails Joshua right on the fucking side of the head. Right that part where his equilibrium said, bye-bye, see ya. And Anthony Joshua looks fucking hurt. He goes down. Anthony Joshua goes down, looks at the ref square in the eyes to make I'm sure it's to make sure the ref doesn't stop it early and he knows that he's okay. But ever since the first knockdown, Anthony Joshua wasn't the same anymore. He was fucking hurt the whole rest of the time. He gets knocked down once in the third round. Ruiz fucking doesn't stop. Sees the danger, smells the blood, crowd is on their fucking feet. He's nailing Joshua. And now he's nailing Joshua from all fucking places. He's saying, you know what? None of you gave me a goddamn chance. I'm going to show you all those goddamn hours in the gym what they fucking did to me. All those amateur fucking fights that were probably brutal. Not just brutal, but he probably obviously didn't get paid fucking much for it. And he starts hitting from all angles, including when the ref is saying stop, stop, stop. He's fighting. Dirty fucking boxing, which is all fair in love and war. I fucking love it. They keep going. Anthony Joshua goes down again with 5 seconds remaining in the third round. He goes down again. Comes up wobbly as fuck. His trainers are looking at him. The crowd's going insane. The announcers are wondering what's happening. And by the time the fucking 5th and 6th round comes along and you look at Eddie Hearn in that crowd, Eddie fucking Hearn looks like he's going to throw up. Eddie Hearn looks nervous as fuck. There's people right next to Eddie Hearn that you can tell are his affiliates. There's some people there that are friends of Eddie Hearn that are boxers that are just grasping at their faces at what they're watching. And all of a sudden, the 7th round comes. And Andy Ruiz smashes Anthony Joshua over and over and over again until Joshua gets put in the corner and asked, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue, Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua says yes. He said yes, but the referee stopped the fight. And the reason why the referee stopped the fight, not because he wanted fucking Andy Ruiz to win and it was a fucking goddamn conspiracy. None of that bullshit. The referee stopped the fight because he saw Anthony Joshua didn't have what it took anymore. Anthony Joshua's eyes and Anthony Joshua's body said otherwise. His mind might have said, yes, I want to continue, but his body obviously couldn't. The referee made the final call. Even Anthony Joshua has admitted to all this shit. Winner of the fight and new heavyweight champion, Andy Ruiz Jr., holy shit, I know the odds were so against him. I can only imagine the kind of money some people made. I know I saw somebody on the Underground, which is an MMA website, they bet on the Anthony Smith Gustafsson fight, and they bet for Smith, who was an underdog, and then they bet this, and they won this. God knows how much they fucking won. And, you know, God, everybody counted this guy out, including myself. With all those amateur fights, you had to have known he could do something, right? It's not like he's been on huge losing streaks throughout his career. Well, that was Madison Square Garden and the debut of Anthony Joshua. Obviously, he's going to come back stronger from this because if you've been watching combat sports for any lengthy amount of time, you know that if you play your cards right and you really are a champion of resolve and you really are a person that you try to convince yourself you are every single day, which is a person that isn't scared of defeat and failure, and that tells himself, no matter what happens, I'm going to dust myself off, and I'm going to continue going forward. If he can do that, he's going to come back better. It's been proven time and time again in combat sports. It's one of the beautiful things about combat sports is it mirrors life sometimes, and sometimes life kicks you squarely on the fucking ass, and you have to get up, and you have to dust yourself off, and you have to move on. Relationships could end. Friendships sometimes end. Deaths happen in the family. Your fucking job sucks. Your boss is a dick, but you dust it off. You continue whatever it is your goal is, because you have to have a goal, is what I've learned from combat sports. And you continue, and you move on. And at one point or another, you're going to get your well-deserved justice. Not always, maybe not always in the way that you think you're going to get it. Maybe not in the way you want it to get it, but eventually it'll pay off somewhat. In my opinion, Anthony Joshua is just going to McGregor it up. And he's going to come back, and it's going to be even more popular than the fucking last time. And as you can imagine, there was all kinds of fucking reactions to this thing. From everybody in the MMA world, from everybody in the fucking boxing world. And here's some people that, you know, from the boxing world that had reactions to Anthony Joshua. First, let's pull up Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury had something to say to Anthony Joshua on Twitter. after Anthony Joshua's lost. And even though him and Anthony Joshua have had a lot of beef sometimes and have said some shit to each other, here's what Tyson Fury had to say. We have our back and forth, but Anthony Joshua changed his stars through life. Heavyweight boxing, these things happen. Rest up, recover, regroup, and come again. Classy as fuck. I mean, no doubt about it, classy as fuck. I'm assuming, Tyson Fury probably understands what it's like to be at the bottom of the fucking pit, like a lot of us are sometimes. And, he's giving them props. And then we flip the coin. We flip the coin to the other side. And holy shit, Deontay Wilder is a pissed off man. Deontay Wilder just let it fucking rip. Here, let's see. First, he put out some stuff on Twitter. Let me see if I can track that down. Reaction Twitter. So, and once again, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, if you have to hear all this fucking keyboard knocking. I need to find a better place to film this stuff. But the lady that lives here is letting me do it. It's a nice room. It's relatively quiet, even though it's hot as fuck right now because it's summer. But it's okay. We got it going on. Let's see if I can track this down fucking rather quickly. Okay, here we go. So Tyson Fury decided to go the nice route. And Deontay Wilder did not fucking go the nice route. He went straight for the jugular. Here's what it says. Deontay Wilder on Twitter, @BronzeBomber. He wasn't a true champion. His whole career was consisted of lies, contradictions, and gifts. Facts. And now we know who was running from who. Till this day. Holy shit, that's pretty fucking brutal. I mean, this is Anthony Joshua's lowest point, and Deontay Wilder straight up didn't give a fuck. And the consensus among most boxing fans is that Deontay Wilder's pissed. And Deontay Wilder's pissed because now that fight against Anthony Joshua is going to have to fucking wait. Even though he has already announced other fights, that fight might not be as valuable as it was now that Anthony Joshua lost. But in my opinion, it's going to be even more valuable. We just need to let time pass. Fans forget all the fucking losses. We just need to let time pass. However, Deontay Wilder's pissed. And not only did he say that, he went on some rampage. I found this article on boxingnews24.com by, who is this guy? By Charles Byrne. He summarized Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder went on 78 Sports TV and talked about Anthony Joshua. Here's some of the quotes that he was saying. And I quote, "There's no safe haven, no more. They've been saving that boy. I think he's a broken man. At least Frank Bruno got KO'd by Tyson. He's worse than Bruno. He's broken man. Boxing is 96% mental and 4% physical. I'm not upset about the money. The most thing I'm upset about is he quit. He quit. When I'm in the ring, I don't mean good for nobody. You're going to have to kill me in the ring. He ain't been talking. His promoter, Eddie Hearn, has been talking. He can't fight for him." Holy fuck. Talk about venomous fucking rage. And, I love Anthony Joshua. I love Tyson Fury. But out of everybody, Deontay Wilder gets dicked around the most, and he's fucking sick of it. This Joshua-Deontay Wilder fight could have happened a long time ago. They offered Anthony Joshua $50 million. He didn't want to do it. Eddie Hearn came out with all these fucking stories. As brilliant as Eddie Hearn is, sometimes he gets too fucking shady, and the fans can smell that fish a mile away. Eddie Hearn comes out, talks about he's offering this, and Deontay Wilder doesn't want to do that, and blaming Deontay, and blaming his team, and blaming fucking his management. When all along we can all smell it. Deontay Wilder wasn't fucking dodging anybody. He hasn't been. This whole time in boxing, he's fought anybody that they put in front of him. It's about goddamn time someone respected the fact that when it comes to a big time heavyweight boxing fight, he's also a draw. Is he a big as draw as Joshua? Maybe not yet, but they need someone like Wilder to draw as well as they do. It's only going to be a matter of fucking time before he keeps fighting all these other guys that are unknowns and be a draw. Anthony Joshua needs a yin to his yang. That's the fucking straight story right there. And he continued on. Let me see if we can read a little bit more of this. It says, "The way that he's been holding up this fight and talking all this stupid shit," said Wilder about Joshua and his matchroom promoter Hearn. They cheated. He should have been beaten in the Olympics. The Cuban, Erislandy Savan, beat him. They gave it to him because it was in his country. His country, UK, hosted it. They weren't preparing him to become a true champion. You do not quit. The worst thing you can do is quit. He was under so much pressure worrying about me. He was not mentally strong. He was created. I'm upset not because he lost, but because he quit. Vladimir Klitschko was supposed to have beaten him a long time ago. Dillian White, if he had done what he was supposed to do, he would have saved us all the hassle. So, fuck, dude, Fury is what they call in the professional wrestling world straight up shoot. Crazy. Here's the last part of what Deontay Wilder said on this interview. And once again, thanks BoxingNews24.com for being our source of news. One day, we can work together. Am I right? Huh? I'm like a dog begging for work. Anyways, the man has been having stamina problems. Now the world knows they didn't want to come see Deontay Wilder. Now it's understood the man didn't want to fight me. He would have been out of there in the first round. It was someone smaller than him. He looked out of shape. I'm so disappointed. I'm so upset. The one thing you don't do in life is quit. The cash cow, the man that brings in 90,000 fans. That shit don't matter. AJ Hearn, welcome to America. What are you going to say now? The boxing fans are going to be jumping ship. The ones that don't like Fury are going to jump towards him. All you fake fans, you can jump on Tyson Fury, and then I'll knock him out again. Now we know who the baddest man on the planet is. Boom. This is great marketing. And even though it's not even meant to be marketing, and that's the great part, is this is not meant to be marketing. It's coming out of Deontay Wilder's goddamn fucking heart, but it's marketing. This is fucking wonderful. It creates chaos and insanity in the heavyweight division. This is gonna make Anthony Joshua come out even better. It's gonna, when they do fight, which eventually they will. I hope it's not a repeat of Mayweather Pacquiao where it fucking took years to happen. It's gonna be fucking wonderful. It's gonna be amped up as fuck. The story's gonna be there. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I think Tyson Fury was great in his response to the fight. I think Deontay Wilder was great in his response to the fight. And above all, before we leave this Anthony Joshua stuff to rest, the one person that came out better than everybody in this Anthony Joshua fight, out of all the reactions, out of everything that happened, was fucking Anthony Joshua. Did you see the way his post-fight interviews went? All of his post-fight interviews, from the one in the ring to the one in the fucking post-fight press conference to the ones with the Boxing Voice and Radio Raheem. Holy shit. Pure fucking class. Gave all the credit to Ruiz. Talked about that it was his own fault that he lost. Gave no excuses for him being injured before the fight, which there's rumors that he didn't look like himself, that he might have been sick, that he might have been injured. Who knows? But he gave into none of that. Gave all the credit to Ruiz. Said he's going to come back better. Say that this is the kind of shit that happens in life. Then starts talking like a fucking role model and something that kids can look up to. He starts talking about how these things happen in life. How this is just a road bump, just a road bump in his career. That it's about the overall journey. That he's going to keep on working hard and he's going to keep on coming back and keep on doing well. And he's going to sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice some more. And he's going to come back a winner. Goddamn. The heavyweight division gives me a boner, ladies and gentlemen. Because while we're on the topic of heavyweight division, let's talk about Wilder. After Wilder talked all that stuff about Anthony Joshua, it's pretty crazy because Wilder is sick of waiting on people. And Wilder feels that he's a big enough of a fucking name that he can fight whoever he wants, whenever he wants, and still get paid fat. Which is probably the smart thing to do because as a fighter, if you stay active, the fans are never going to turn their back on you no matter if you lose once or twice. But let's see. Here, let's see if I can find the... Here. So, Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury contract is signed. Fight comes after Luis Ortiz. So, Deontay Wilder is going to be fighting Luis Ortiz next, and then at the end of the year, he's probably going to be fighting Tyson Fury in the rematch, which none of us can bitch about. Did we want Joshua Wilder? Of course. But are we really going to bitch about Fury fucking Wilder? I hope not, because that is an insane match. The last match was so goddamn close. Fury got taken out of his fucking consciousness at the end of the fight, came back, still wins. I mean, what are you going to do? Sick fucking fight, can't bitch. And the people that are bitching about that fight with Luis Ortiz because Deontay Wilder KO'd him, I think, in the 10th. Hey, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up because that's a great fight. That fight was incredibly competitive up until the end. It was a good fight. Ortiz is not a walk-through fighter for anybody. There's a reason why a lot of top heavyweights never wanted to fight him. And for him to be fucking giving him a rematch when he definitely doesn't have to, I like that fight. I remember the first one with vivid memories. I remember the excitement going into it. I remember the excitement during it. I remember when Wilder was in danger in that fight. It made it even better. It was a great fight. So Ortiz has at least 2 fights lined up, which is that Ortiz fight and that Tyson Fury fight. He says the contract is done. So, fuck, it should be a great year if all goes to plan, barring any injuries or barring any of that stuff. Let's see here. What do we got next? Here's we got one that's pretty cool. Probably one of the last things before we go to the dirt sheets of boxing. Oh my God, I feel like I'm getting sick. Let me get a drink of this water. All right. So here's an announcement. Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao has been announced. It'll be July 20th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. The favorite going in, I think, is Keith Thurman. I haven't checked the sports books. I mean, man, Keith Thurman was going hard at those press conferences. He was selling all kinds of fucking shit. Let me see if I could find it real quick. Some of the stuff he was talking about. I kind of understand why Keith Thurman does some of this stuff. I'm sure it's him selling the fight, for one. He probably knows, like all of us know, that Manny is a legend. That Manny has helped keep popular afloat through all the years. But since this is probably the highest paid fight for Thurman, the highest paid fight for his entire life, he's probably hyping the shit out of it. And who can blame him? Really, who can blame him? It really sucks to see guys have to resort to shit talking, but these days, that's the name of the game. I've learned to adapt to it and enjoy it to an extent. But I did hate it for the longest time because when I wanted my professional wrestling, I wanted it in a professional wrestling company. When I wanted my boxing and my MMA, I wanted my boxing and my MMA. I didn't want angles and promos and shit talking to be so common in combat sports. They always were, as we talked about before with grudge matches, but not as much as today. But I get it. I understand. Once again, I've adapted to it, and I learned to enjoy it. But it's always going to sting when you see legends of old get verbally slaughtered by the younger guys. I'm sure Thurman has something in his contract about more money, if more views, type of stuff. And I get it. More often than not, boxing rapes boxers of health, relationships, friendships, and everything else. Sometimes the boxer has to take from the boxing game any way they can because the boxing game doesn't like to give as much as it likes to take. Manny Pacquiao, whether a senator or not, doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me if he loses his next 10 fights. I'll always remember him for his fights with Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera. I'll always remember his Juan Manuel Marquez fights, even his Antonio Margarito fight. God bless Manny Pacquiao. The man set a standard for how to behave outside the ring, for how to behave inside the ring, for the level of excitement that these smaller weight divisions bring. Keith Thurman has to do what he has to do, and unfortunately, it means saying certain things, we'll figure it out. I mean, he's doing what he's got to do. He's saying a couple of things that he said. Let me see if I can find them here sorry for the disorganization. Here we go. Some of the things that we're saying were things like, I'm not going to lose to this bunny rabbit. Most of his opponents can easily say before the fight that I'm an easy opponent, Pacquiao said. And he went off about how once they get in the ring with him, and, it's a different story. Thurman talks about he's going to destroy him. Talks about how Manny Pacquiao is a little guy. He believes he would have destroyed Manny Pacquiao years ago when he was with Top Rank. And it got a little dirty, and I understand, I suppose. I fucking understand. The one, he goes a little crazy, says Pacquiao's getting crucified. Hey, welcome to the fight game, right? This guy fights in New York a lot. He's got that New York fucking attitude. Well, here's the part that pissed off fans. Thurman, and I quote, this is from BoxingScene.com. The article was written by Keith Edick, and it says, Thurman, no third fight in 2019. Gotta relax after Pacquiao. So someone asked him if he's going to fight again after Manny Pacquiao because he's been inactive a little bit due to injuries. And then he says, a third time this year? No, sir. No, sir. We get this job done. Shoot, we've got to relax, I'm very happy to stay active, and I would love to continue to perform twice a year instead of the slow rolling that I was doing when I was champion, when I fought Sean Porter for once that year in 2016, and I waited for the Danny Garcia fight. I could stay busy, It depends on how I feel, but I'm not projecting a third fight this year. No, sir. So there you go. He's had surgery in all kinds of spots, and kids, he's saying, fuck you. I'll be healthy, get my big giant lump sums of money twice a year, and chill. Which, whatever, he's been in the game for fucking so long. That guy fucking deserves it. Let him do what he's got to do. Mayweather did it, so let him do it. Most champions do it. Let him do it. And this week, that will be it for boxing. There is no I'm going to snap for boxing this week. So no, I'm going to snap for pro wrestling. No, I'm going to snap for boxing this week. We're leaving it for the MMA at the end of the show. And from here, let's see. Since we haven't had any I'm going to snaps for boxing, I suggest you go watch Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz 1. Go watch that. See how badass that was before you start criticizing the shit out of it. That's the fight to watch this week. And for professional wrestling, I'll say it again one more. Actually, for professional wrestling, I'll put out. Let's see. What was a good one that I remember? Oh, here's one that I don't know if a lot of the young fans have watched, but I know a lot of the people my age have fucking watched it. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10 ladder match. Go watch that. Anytime I don't have an I'm gonna snap, I'll substitute it with a fucking a fight or a pro wrestling match that you should watch. There you go. Luis Ortiz versus Deontay Wilder for boxing. And Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10 for pro wrestling. And now we move on to the cage. And not too much crazy shit has been going on in the UFC. I know they had UFC Stockholm. The biggest news coming out this weekend was UFC Stockholm, where Gustafsson fought Anthony Smith. Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith in Gustafsson's hometown. Anthony Smith takes it with the submission, a choke. And the big news coming out of it all is Gustafsson feels he doesn't have it anymore. And so he retired. He left his gloves in the ring. People are saying that it might be a mistake because he was super emotional because he's been through one hell of a roller coaster with this sport. And who knows? Some people say they don't believe him. Some people say they do. Gustafsson at the post-fight press conference straight up said, I have all these feelings inside me. I came in relaxed. I came in feeling great. There's literally no excuses. I was healthy. I don't understand what went wrong. And when I have all these thoughts in my head, I feel like I can't do it anymore. I feel like I don't have what it takes anymore. And if that's true, thank you for all the memories, Alex. I mean, fuck. We watched you for a long time. You made your name with that John Jones fight, that first John Jones fight where you went to war, one of the best light heavyweight fights in history. I mean, he fought everybody. That was everybody. Anthony Johnson, Daniel Cormier, John Jones, Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, Thiago Silva, Mauricio Shogun Rua, Matt Hamill, Vladimir Matyushenko, even though, Matyushenko's already kind of past his prime on that one. He fought Phil Davis, James Tehuna. There's no fucking reason to be depressed about any of this shit. It sucks that his career ended. He's going to probably miss the train. Well, I don't know if he'll miss the training, but I know he'll miss the spotlight a little bit. They all do. But he has nothing to be ashamed of. He did so fucking much. Guaranteed he opens up shop somewhere, a gym, if he doesn't have one already, over there in his neck of the woods. People are going to go. That's what he's a badass fighter. He's a known fighter. Just has some bad luck, and he feels he's at the end of his rope. He's been doing it for a long time. Good for him. I wish him nothing but the best. And the only news really besides that coming out these last few weeks was one of the things that I took interest in was Khabib's teammates stemming from that incident with Conor McGregor where there was a big old brawl in the middle of the octagon and all this crazy shit happened. And I went on MMAfighting.com and I seen this article and it said Khabib Nurmagomedov teammates receive reduced suspensions ahead of UFC 242. So there you have it. I don't know. I mean, so now they will all be eligible to compete in September. And by all I mean Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov and Zubaira Tukhugov are the two guys that got their suspensions reduced by 35 days at the recommendation of NAC Executive Director Bob Bennett. The two were initially handed 1-year suspensions for their involvement in the UFC 229 melee between Khabib's associates and rival Conor McGregor's associates last October. I mean, I don't know. Khabib was saying that he wasn't going to fight, unless these guys came back. The UFC wants him to fight in September. And now they're eligible to fight in September, which means Khabib's more open to fighting in September, which is fucking weird. But, I mean, whatever, right? I, for one, dig it. I love the Dagestanis when they fight. And, I mean, what can you do? They said Khabib might end up fighting Dustin Poirier in September, which is pretty much the game plan going forward, which, is no fucking walk in the park. It seems like the Nevada State Athletic Commission helped out the UFC on this one by, giving them this pay-per-view. Or so it seems, because I'm very sure that kind of stuff is frowned upon. But Khabib right now is hot. And Khabib saying, I'm not fighting until my buddies get to fight, was obviously very real. That it was not a negotiation tactic. These guys are loyal to the fucking core with each other. I am envious of that shit. That part of the world, as chaotic as it can be, it's got some beautiful aspects of humanity within them, and loyalty is one of them. But here's the kicker, folks. Here's the kicker. The kick straight to the nuts. But in a good way. According to the badass Ali Abdelaziz, and I say badass because I like the way he speaks his mind and how loyal he is to his friends and fighters. Almost no fighters have anything bad to say about this guy who work underneath him. But according to Ali, Khabib might end up fighting GSP at the end of the year, which is needless to say, holy shit. Who knows what weight class, who knows where or what the fuck, but take my money now, son. Take it and spit in my face. Holy shit. That's the fight to make. That's the fight to make. Does it make a lot of sense? No. Is it your typical, following the rankings? No. But since when the fuck, if the UFC is going to start doing this thing where you don't really have to do well in the rankings and you don't really have to acquire a lot of wins to get title shots and it just goes by money and who draws, fuck it. Might as well go all out. GSP, Khabib. Guarantee that's a fucking draw. I'll pay money for that. That would be insanely badass. They said it might happen at the end of the year. If it does happen at the end of the year, dear Lord, my cock is going to explode. Next up, we have Tyron Woodley, who was supposed to fight here very soon, will not be fighting. He got injured. More injuries in his hands or whatnot. He has chronic arthritis in his joints. He's all fucked up. He's not all fucked up, but he has injuries and he feels that he can't fight. He wants to fight at UFC 241. I mean, what can you say? In my opinion, this man deserves to come in 100% healthy for his fight. These are the people he has lost to. I don't understand the disrespect for this guy. Has he said some crazy shit? Yes. He said some crazy shit, but nothing super fucking offensive. Nothing for people to lose their shit over. It's not like he hasn't deserved a spot at the top of the division. And the fact that they're going to make him work up, hopefully they don't make him work up his weight too fucking much, and they give him a little bit of leeway of what he wants to do, instead of just fucking burying him and making him scratch and claw. This guy's been around the goddamn ringer. He has fought everybody. He's fought for over a goddamn decade already. Nate Marquardt, he fought. He got knocked out. Who the fuck cares? Sick. Great moment. Jay Heron, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Carlos Condit, Rory McDonald, Don Hume Kim, Kelvin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler, Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia, Darren Till, Kamaru Usman. Killer after killer after killer after killer at the fucking top of the game in the UFC. And people still don't fucking give him any credit. It's unbelievable to me. Those are the people he's lost to. But more importantly, look at the fucking people who he's beat throughout his career. Look at the fucking people who he's beat throughout his career. I named this whole goddamn list, and look who he's beat. Darren Till, Damian Maia, Stephen Thompson, Robbie Lawler, Kelvin Gastelum, Don Hume Kim, Carlos Condit, Josh Koscheck. What the fuck? Seriously? And that's still not enough for people to at least put his athletic accomplishments above all? Hey, whatever. I know most fighters will always say that no one ever goes in 100% healthy, and that they may be true, and that may be true, but you have an injured hand going into a fight with Robbie Lawler, where hand bones are what are being thrown the most. People giving this guy's shit for race baiting or being racist himself can go fuck off. He gets all this hate for having an injury, and people don't seem to understand this shit. They want their instant satisfaction, and they want it now. Yeah, go in injured and get KO'd by Lawler because you can't even fucking grip right due to apparent chronic arthritis in your gripping joints. Fight injured. They all do. That's what I would have done, is what the idiot who can't get out of his comfort level and has never done anything remotely uncomfortable or challenging says. Here at Have Fun on the Indies, from me, your host, to the editing guy, to the poor sap who is letting me use this room to film this goddamn podcast, we all support Tyrone Woodley. Mr. Woodley, keep on trucking, because you keep us going. Boom, son. And then we have this weird one, which I'm not sure if it's a rumor. I'm not sure really what the fuck is going on with this one. The Florida State Athletic Commission will allow Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 6 to go on in the state. However, it will be with gloves. Bare-knuckled gloves nonetheless, but they will wear gloves. I mean, fuck. Quite frankly, I don't know what to think of this. The knuckles will be showing. They will still be used as weapons, unpadded. I wonder why they decided to do this. Like, what are the advantages of having gloves with bare knuckles? It might kind of suck to have the bare knuckle gloves, because part of the allure of BKFC is the fact that it's aesthetically, it looks way more hardcore when no gloves are on, you know what I mean? It's aesthetically pleasing. It gives that vibe of insanity is about to happen. We're old school bare knuckle. I don't know. Some people say that they will only be hand wrapped like they usually are for BKFC events. I don't know what the hell is going on over there. It's fun, it's exciting, but confusing. All I can say is Artem versus Paulie, slap, spit, fucking, this thing's hyped up to the moon. I'm definitely going to turn on to that one. And to end this show, ladies and gentlemen, because I am exhausted at this point. I am fucking exhausted. I think we're going to do and I'm going to snap a mixed martial arts edition. Or actually, you know what? We're going to skip that this week just to go along with the flow of not having any I'm going to snaps. This will be the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA match that I suggest you watch is Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 1. The crowd was rabid. The environment was rabid. It was one of the last few fights where that smoky arena with bloodlust was showing and pouring through the television. It was a great fight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Abe. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, using @HaveFunOTI. That's @HaveFunOTI. I'm your host, Abe. Have fun on the Indies.